Some Coventry City fans were typing furiously away. This is the worst performance they've ever seen at Fratton Park. So we're exploring this week just what went wrong for those that were there. And many people are saying Dovin now has to start the next game. Plus, who's the best team that Coventry City have seen this season at the CBS? We've got our full team back with us this week in Ben, Jay, Scott, and of course, Tom, who spent many hours travelling back from Fratton Park. So forgive any language, YouTube, that we may hear in the next 10 minutes, because this isn't going to be a pretty one. Right, Ben, let's kick off with you this week. What went wrong at Fratton Park?
I'll keep it short and sweet for this one, to be honest. And where we went wrong on Saturday was we missed the chance to go 2-0 up. That's where it went wrong for me. If Pizzette puts that one-on-one away, then it's a different story. It really is. And then Brad Collins throws one in his goal, and you're under pressure, aren't you? If the fans are up, you know what it's like there. That's all I've got to say on Saturday, really.
There were a lot more fans that wanted to say a little bit more. Paul said that second half was the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen from a Coventry City side in 20 plus years. Stuart says the performance was terrible, one of the worst I've seen, and the final turd on the Christmas cake. Lampard couldn't even be bothered to go over and face off fans after the final whistle. Jay, what went wrong?
Ben, I'm going to keep it very long. As he said, we've got a really goal. I was absolutely buzzing, and then we just sliced them open. It was amazing to watch. And then, as Ben mentioned, should have scored a second goal. The upset was really weak, I thought. It was almost like he was a bit confused what he should do. He said the goalkeeper doing it, he's put his leg down and stopped the ball. Doesn't with Collins letting that shot, and he dropped the cross, horrific, and then Milan off too easy, and then letting the goal in the near post was absolutely horrific. But for me, it's just especially the second half, as people mentioned, there's just no fight from the boys. Normally, with Lampard teams, they start off fairly slowly, but they come out and perform really well in the second half, or they perform better in the second half when they've got a bit of instruction. This time there was absolutely no fight at all. We've got no leaders in the team. We've got nobody that's going to grab you by the neck and sort of shake you by the collar. Our captain, Ben Sheaf, his passing percentage was 70%. Your captain is making your best fielder 70% of passes. He had he made his ground battles. He won 4 out of 11. Your main sort of defensive player. There's just nobody to sort of grab anybody by the collar and just shake them and say, "Boys, come on, let's go and let's fight." The fans are here. They've travelled. I'd say Tom had to travel. I think he woke up at like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning to take a 2-hour journey and watch this diabolical performance. It was absolutely shocking that they had no fight in them, and that's my biggest concern is the fact that you can ask these players to do X, Y, Z. But unfortunately, we don't have anyone that's a natural fighter, a natural sort of leader on that pitch. He's going to, when the chips are down, he's going to grab you and sort of say, "Boys, come on," and drag you up the pitch and sort of make you perform. Unfortunately, we've got too many pretty footballers. When things are going well, fantastic. We can pay Michael and talk and whip a ball in and stuff. When it needs to come down to the nitty gritty, unfortunately, we don't have the deck to do so. Unfortunately, rant over.
Cheers for that, Jay. Incredibly passionate. Now, Scott, let's just check that no one's blaming Lampard. Will says, anyone blaming Lampard doesn't know much. Maybe he isn't the one, but the only thing that is clear that maybe it wasn't Robbins that's a problem, and maybe it was always the players. And there's lots of people saying that actually these players just aren't good enough. What's your view on it, Scott?
I don't think you can blame Lampard. He's been here, 4 or 5 games? Probably about a month or 2. I think he's getting to know his best 11. He's playing players, most of the players that he can play. I think even Jamie Allen got on at the weekend. I don't think it's him to start with, definitely. I think probably if you look at 2024 after the FA Cup games, it looked like we're on a downhill slope. I don't personally think that was Robbins, and I think we've got to start looking at some of the players. And it's just that, I don't know, I was talking to myself like I normally do. At the weekend, I was thinking you could walk down any park on a Saturday or Sunday morning and find leaders. vocal people might be a bit aggressive, might be a bit out of control at times, but can't we just have a couple of those on the pitch? We just can't find anybody, like Jay was saying. But I think sometimes you do have to say to these players, they've probably admitted it, but nothing seems to get better sometimes. We know there's an issue. I think it was away at Preston, maybe something like that, when somebody went over to the crowd saying, we know. But it just seems to be coming back. Like people say, we win one or two, we lose a couple. And when we lose, everybody looks awful. It's not one or two or three players. It's the whole 11 that just look disinterested or no fight, or the heads go down and then it's just gone. So I think you've got to start looking at some of them, and whether you wrap some of them up in cotton wool or give some of them a kick up the backside, they're all different players. But I think someone's got to get in there and do the AD job that you used to do, I think, which upset quite a few people. But I think it's needed, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. Tom, you were one of those that got on a coach at ridiculous o'clock and travelled down there in the horrendous conditions, sat and watched that and came back home again. So credit to you and any Sky Blues fans that did that. How annoyed were you, though? Especially, let's talk about Collins, because he's the one that seems to be getting the rap. This particular tweet here says, please chuck De Silva and Collins into the under-23s until they can be offered out in January. I never let them back in a Coventry City shirt. Is it that bad?
It was that bad on Saturday. I woke up at the crack of dawn. It was a long journey down there, and I was really confident going into it. I was really optimistic. I thought we're going to go there and beat them. I thought they just lost 4-0 to Derby, and then the game started. We actually started really well. The first, scored in 3 minutes. Mason Clark, brilliance again. Great assist. Bassett can't miss from there. So, and it was really good. And then obviously, as I think Ben said earlier, he should have scored. Should have been 2-0. If it's 2-0, it's game over for me. But obviously, he should have gone around the goalkeeper, or he could have squared it to Mason Clark. Chose not to. Wrong decision. He's young. He makes mistakes. And then after that, it all goes downhill. And we know what happens. And yeah, on Collins, it was shocking. But then we talk, the first goal as well, I go back to Milan. He gets nudged. It's like the softest thing ever, and he goes down. I don't know what he's doing there. And he's got all this, and then Lang has all the time in the world to shoot. It goes through De Silva's legs, near post, straight under Collins. It's shocking goalkeeping. The second goal, which one was it? Oh, it was actually a really good finish, the second goal, wasn't it? But De Silva, it was poor. He jumps up, comes straight off his head. He's practically assisting Lang there. So it was nothing Collins can do about that one. It is actually a really good goal. The third goal, Collins is in no man's land, misses the ball. He's got an open net to head it into. It's poor defending and goalkeeping again. And then the final one, it looks awful from Collins. It's a good save he makes at the start, and then he palms it out. But I feel like if he goes to catch it, he still goes over the line. But it's poor from Bobby Thomas and Binks as well, because they're both just stood there staring at it. And then Lang's there to tap it away. It was a shocking weekend. The hopes are just draining. And I like to be the positive one as well. So,
yes.
It
must be bad if Tom's having a go.
We've conceded 17 of the last 24 shots we've faced.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It feels like every time someone shoots, it goes in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's frustrating. It really is. Plymouth is massive, let's just say.
Yeah, they're looking forward to that, Plymouth. I told you Pompey were up for it last week, didn't they?
You did.
Our Plymouth fans are right up for this one as well. Sorry. Okay, Ben, a couple more on this one. We've already talked to you. This highlights the points you made. Actually, 15 minutes we were great and should have been 3 up. Then against Collins and De Silva, shocking mistakes again. I want to ask you about this next comment about Torp. Torp is too lightweight for centre mid. Lampard needs to change those 3 players, or will continue to concede dreadful goals. Are they right about Torp, Ben?
Not for me. There's going to be recruits in January. Of course, we need that, and we do need some battling midfielders. We do need that, but Torp isn't that. Torp is a 10. He's a luxury player for Plymouth at home on Saturday. Say that can beat a low block, can find that pass, but as far as your Millwall aways and your Portsmouth aways, you need a bit of, I keep saying it, a bit of bollocks. We're sort of missing that. We are missing that.
Jay, last one on the Portsmouth game, I promise. Jimmy says there's no excuses for that performance. I want to see Dovin, Kitchen, Sims and Bidwell get a good run in this side. Of those 4 players, how many of them would you start against Plymouth on Thursday?
There's an argument to say all of them, really. Dovin, I feel sorry for Dom. He's a young lad coming to the country. He's done fairly well, I would say. He did one mistake at QPR, and he got concussion just for the Sunderland game. Hasn't played since. Hasn't had a sniff since Lampard's coming at all. Bidwell, again, I'm a massive Bidwell. Again, it's between him and Silva. I'd probably say Bidwell just because he's a bit more defensively sound. Yeah, great. And then the big Coventry and the left centre back and the left back, they all seem a massive gap, a massive disconnect between them. So again, King hasn't played for about 8 games. I think it was the coming game ago. He started at left wing back and came off a home match. He hasn't played, so it's not working well. So he might as well give it a go. And I personally thought Bissett did quite well leading the line. He's a young lad, 20 years old. He ran the line really well. He's causing them problems. Offside a bit too much. He needs to work on that. But again, he's a young lad. I've said this before. Big fan of Ellis Sims. But he's got a massive 6 months. He needs to perform in this next 6 months because that's, in my eyes, is almost going to make or break his career. Because at the moment, Haji Wright's our main centre forward. He's out injured. We're back, I think, end of mid-Jan, around that sort of time period. And if he's not getting ahead of a raw 20-year-old, not a good sign in my eyes. But I think he does need a game, 2 games, 3 games, give him a run. And I personally think Bissett's more impact. So I personally wouldn't be against those 4 changes coming in, but I do think a lot of those players need to kick up the backside as of Thursday.
Right. We will never mention this game ever again, I promise.
Please don't.
Before we leave you this week, first of all, I just want to say a huge thank you to the whole team here for everything they've done in the last 4 months. This is our last record before Christmas. We want to wish everyone watching this and everyone who's ever given a comment or subscribed to our channel a very Merry Christmas as well. We are so proud of the content we make. We know it's straightforward and simple. It doesn't have the flashes and whizzes and gizmos that other Coventry City podcasts have, but it's raw, it's passionate, and we love making it for you. So thank you for supporting us along our journey. Last one this week, Scott, is who's the best and worst side you've played against this season, given that now you've nearly played everybody. So the best side you've come up against that blew you away from a footballing point of view was?
Leeds for me. Leeds away, yeah.
And Tom, who's the worst side that you've seen that you thought you could have scored more past if it had gone on a bit longer?
Like, I think about it, probably Blackburn at home. I mean, we beat them 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. They were poor. They didn't do anything. So, yeah, it has to be them for me. Okay.
All right. Good shouts. Next week, then, it's the last one of 2024, and we're getting these guys, of course, to pick out a few winners and few awards and looking back on what a year it's been for Coventry City. Join us for that. But I'm sure my whole team here will join us in wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. It can only get better, as the song goes. See you next week. Cheers, everyone. Merry Christmas.